How writing 3 numbers on your hand can bring prosperity, Buddhist wisdom revealed. Welcome to Buddhist Stories, where ancient wisdom meets modern life. I'm so glad you're here today to join us on a path that might just change the way you think about wealth, happiness, and abundance. Now, here's the question that might surprise you. Is wealth really just about numbers? We've all been conditioned to believe that prosperity is measured by how much money we have, how many things we own, or the status we've attained. But what if I told you that true wealth is not defined by what you have, but by how you feel and think about what you already possess? Sounds a bit puzzling, right? If you've ever felt like something was missing despite having everything you need, you're not alone. What if true prosperity isn't about accumulating more material wealth, but about shifting our mindset toward the abundance that already surrounds us? Does that resonate with you? Let's think about it. We often tie our happiness to the idea of having more money, more possessions, and more success. But have you ever paused to ask yourself, am I truly satisfied with what I already have? And here's the real kicker. Could there be a deeper connection between wealth and your spiritual well-being? I invite you to take a moment and reflect on your relationship with wealth, not just from a materialistic viewpoint, but also as a gateway to spiritual fulfillment. In Buddhist teachings, wealth goes far beyond money. True prosperity encompasses the richness of our mindset, our spirit, and our ability to nurture what we already have. What if there was a special code, a teaching so profound it could unlock doors not just to financial success, but also to inner peace, clarity, and abundance in every area of your life? I'm about to share with you something that might sound simple, yet it has the power to change your entire perspective on wealth. This code isn't about writing numbers on your hand or hoping for a lucky break. It's a mindset. It's an ancient Buddhist teaching that can transform the way you approach wealth, happiness, and everything in between. But before we dive deep into this, let me ask, are you open to exploring a new way of thinking, one that embraces abundance in all aspects of life, not just finances? If you are, go ahead and hit the subscribe button now, because in today's video, we'll unravel how to unlock true prosperity and abundance, with teachings that have lasted thousands of years. The journey may surprise you, challenge your assumptions, and most importantly, bring you closer to a life filled with peace, purpose, and prosperity. Let's take this journey together, one step at a time. Building curiosity. I've posed questions like, is wealth really just about numbers? And what if true prosperity is about shifting our mindset to immediately create a sense of curiosity? The call to action is seamlessly integrated after prompting the viewer to reflect on their beliefs and mindset. The sacred code and its connection to Buddhist teachings. In the modern world, we often encounter various symbols, numbers, and codes that promise to bring us fortune, success, and happiness. The 5-2-0 code, introduced in the video, is one such example, a symbol said to unlock wealth and prosperity in our lives. But while the idea of a code or symbol that can bring material abundance may seem intriguing and magical, it is important to pause and reflect on the deeper meaning behind these concepts. What do symbols and codes truly represent in a spiritual context? What is the real nature of wealth, and how can we cultivate it from within? In Buddhism, symbols and mantras hold profound spiritual significance. They are not mere objects or numbers, but vessels of deeper wisdom. When monks and practitioners chant sacred mantras, they are connecting with a divine energy, aligning their minds with higher truths, and invoking powerful forces that transcend the material world. Just like the sacred chants used in Buddhist rituals, The idea of using a code to unlock material wealth can be seen as a metaphor for a much deeper spiritual process. The wealth we seek, according to Buddhism, is not found in material possessions but in cultivating the right mindset, virtues, and spiritual practices that lead to true contentment. The Buddha and the Golden Bowl. A lesson in letting go. This brings us to a timeless story that illustrates the deeper principles behind the idea of wealth and abundance. It is the story of the Buddha and the Golden Bowl, a tale that has been passed down through generations of Buddhist teachings. In this story, a wealthy merchant approaches the Buddha, seeking his wisdom. The merchant had everything he could ever desire: riches, power, and land. Yet, despite his vast wealth, he felt an emptiness inside. He believed that acquiring more material wealth would bring him the happiness and fulfillment he lacked. So, he approached the Buddha in search of a solution to his inner dissatisfaction. The Buddha, perceiving the merchant's attachment to his wealth, shared a profound teaching with him. He said, "The pursuit of material gain, though it may bring fleeting pleasure, will never bring you lasting peace. True happiness is found when you let go of attachment." At first, the merchant was confused. He had always believed that wealth was the key to happiness. However, after meditating on the Buddha's words and reflecting deeply on his life, the merchant began to realize the truth in the Buddha's teaching. In his attachment to material possessions, the merchant had become blind to the more meaningful aspects of life. He had spent his entire life accumulating wealth and status. Yet he still felt a deep sense of emptiness within. The merchant was caught in a cycle of desire. And no matter how much he acquired, he was never truly content. But when he let go of his obsession with riches and focused on cultivating kindness, compassion, and generosity, he began to experience a different kind of wealth, one that brought lasting peace and fulfillment. This story offers us a profound lesson. True wealth is not defined by what we possess, but by what we are willing to let go of. The merchant's transformation came not from gaining more, but from relinquishing his attachment to material things. Similarly, the sacred code 5-2-0, while it may hold symbolic power, represents the spiritual practice of letting go, detaching ourselves from our desires and recognizing that wealth is not found in possessions, but in the richness of the heart. Buddhist teachings on wealth and detachment. In the Buddhist tradition, the notion of detachment is central to understanding wealth and abundance. The Buddhist teachings often stress that attachment to material wealth, status, or even relationships can lead to suffering. This concept is encapsulated in the second noble truth, which teaches that suffering arises from craving, desire, and attachment. As long as we are attached to the idea that material possessions or external circumstances will bring us happiness, we remain trapped in a cycle of dissatisfaction. Buddhism encourages us to cultivate a mindset of detachment, which does not mean renouncing the world or rejecting the material aspects of life. Rather, it means not allowing our happiness to be dependent on them. Detachment is about recognizing that external wealth is fleeting, and that true happiness arises from inner peace, wisdom, and compassion. Let us think about a simple yet powerful Buddhist practice known as the practice of non-attachment. Non-attachment does not mean we should not appreciate or enjoy material wealth, but it teaches us that our sense of self-worth and contentment should not depend on them. For instance, a person who is deeply attached to their wealth may experience stress, anxiety, and fear of losing it. But someone who practices non-attachment can enjoy the fruits of their labor without allowing those material possessions to define their happiness or sense of self. A story of a king and a monk. A deep lesson in wealth and attachment. There is another story from the Buddhist teachings that further illustrates the power of detachment and how it can lead to true abundance. This is the story of the king and the monk. a king, known for his vast wealth and power, invited a renowned monk to his palace. The king wanted to prove to the monk that wealth and material possessions could bring happiness. He showed the monk his golden palace, his vast treasures, his armies, and his riches. "I have everything a man could desire," the king said. "And yet, I am still seeking happiness. Can you, a humble monk, show me a better way to find peace and joy?" The monk, smiling gently, asked the king to come with him to a nearby mountain. The two walked for hours until they reached a quiet spot in the forest. There, the monk sat under a tree and asked the king to sit beside him. The king was puzzled but complied. After some silence, the monk spoke. "Your wealth and power are like the wind. They come and go. But the peace you seek is like the tree under which we sit, rooted and still, unaffected by the winds of change." The king, reflecting on the monk's words, began to understand. He realized that no matter how much wealth or power he had, he would never find lasting happiness as long as he remained attached to these external possessions. True wealth, the monk taught him, was found in the cultivation of inner peace and wisdom. The king was deeply moved by the monk's words, and from that day forward, he began practicing detachment. While he continued to rule and manage his kingdom, he no longer allowed his sense of happiness or worth to be tied to his material possessions. He found peace in simplicity, mindfulness, and the acts of kindness and generosity he extended to others. This story offers another valuable lesson from Buddhist teachings. True wealth is the ability to remain content and at peace regardless of external circumstances. It's about finding joy and abundance within yourself, not relying on external possessions or achievements to provide that sense of fulfillment. Practical ways to cultivate wealth and abundance in life. So, how can we apply these teachings to our everyday lives? How can we cultivate true wealth that goes beyond material gain and extends into the richness of our hearts and minds? Here are a few practical ways to align with the teachings of the Buddha and cultivate abundance. 1. Practice mindfulness. The practice of mindfulness is one of the most powerful ways to cultivate a sense of abundance in life. By being fully present in each moment, we can appreciate the simple joys that often go unnoticed. Whether it's a quiet moment with a loved one or the beauty of nature, mindfulness helps us recognize that true wealth exists in the here and now. 2. Cultivate generosity. Generosity is a core principle in Buddhism. The act of giving, whether through material resources, time, or kindness, creates a flow of positive energy that brings us closer to true abundance. The Buddha taught that by giving freely, we open ourselves to receive even more. Generosity is not just about wealth, but about giving of ourselves in ways that nurture our relationships, communities, and the world around us. 3. Let go of attachment. As we discussed earlier, attachment to material possessions, power, and even relationships can lead to suffering. By practicing non-attachment, we free ourselves from the fear of losing what we have. We begin to live with a sense of inner peace, knowing that our happiness is not tied to external factors. 4. Focus on inner peace. Wealth may come and go, but inner peace is eternal. By cultivating a calm and still mind through meditation and mindfulness, we create a foundation for true wealth. A peaceful heart is rich in compassion, wisdom, and love, qualities that will never fade. 5. Be grateful. Gratitude is a powerful tool for attracting abundance. By focusing on what we have, rather than what we lack, we open ourselves to more blessings. Practice daily gratitude by acknowledging the small, everyday moments that bring you joy and contentment. Call to action. As we conclude this journey through Buddhist teachings on wealth and abundance, I encourage you to reflect on the stories and lessons shared today. How can you apply these teachings to your own life? How can you begin to let go of attachment to material possessions and focus on cultivating the wealth of the heart? Take a moment to consider the true wealth in your life. Is it the possessions you own, or is it the peace and contentment you feel within yourself? Start by practicing mindfulness, generosity, and gratitude, and watch how your life begins to change. If you found this message helpful, share it with others who may benefit from these teachings. And don't forget to subscribe to continue your journey of spiritual growth and discovery. This narrative, combining Buddhist teachings with practical wisdom, not only helps explain the deeper meaning of wealth, but also guides the reader to reflect on their personal journey toward true abundance. It encourages viewers to detach from materialism and adopt a mindset that embraces peace, mindfulness, and generosity. 2. Changing our mindset towards wealth. We live in a world that constantly reminds us of the value of wealth. From advertisements telling us what we need to buy in order to be happy, to social pressures that equate success with material goods, wealth often becomes the focal point of our lives. However, as deep as this craving for wealth may be, it is also the cause of much suffering, as taught in the core principles of Buddhism. One of the most profound teachings in Buddhism is the Four Noble Truths. These truths describe the nature of suffering, dukkha, and the ways in which we perpetuate our own pain through attachments and desires. The first truth tells us that life, by its nature, is filled with suffering, whether in the form of physical pain, emotional distress, or the dissatisfaction that comes with fleeting pleasures. The second truth explains that the root of suffering is desire or attachment. When we grasp too tightly to anything, including wealth, we create the conditions for our own suffering. Consider the story of a rich merchant who sought the Buddha's wisdom. This merchant was incredibly wealthy, having accumulated vast amounts of gold, land, and fine possessions throughout his life. Despite all his material success, he was constantly anxious, always fearing that his wealth might be stolen or lost. He had no peace because he was gripped by an incessant attachment to his possessions, thinking that they would provide him happiness. But no matter how much wealth he gathered, his soul remained empty. When the merchant came to the Buddha, he shared his troubles and asked, "How can I find lasting happiness when my wealth brings me no peace?" The Buddha, with his gentle yet profound wisdom, responded with a simple teaching. The pursuit of material wealth will not bring lasting happiness. True peace and contentment come when you let go of your attachment to what you have. At first, the merchant was baffled. How could the Buddha suggest that wealth was not the key to happiness? Didn't his vast riches afford him comfort and prestige? But as the Buddha spoke further, the merchant began to reflect on his life. He realized that no matter how much he had, he was always worrying about maintaining his wealth, fearing the loss of it, and never fully enjoying the fruits of his labor. The more he clung to his wealth, the more his anxiety grew. The antidote to suffering: mindfulness and letting go. The Buddha's teachings on attachment provide us with an antidote to this suffering: mindfulness and letting go. We often find ourselves trapped in a cycle of wanting more wealth, more success, more possessions, believing that these things will bring us fulfillment. However, this attachment only leads to frustration because no external possession can bring lasting peace. True peace comes from within. In Buddhism, the practice of mindfulness helps us recognize our attachments and bring awareness to the present moment. By cultivating mindfulness, we can observe our thoughts, desires, and emotions without identifying with them. This awareness allows us to gently let go of our cravings and desires, shifting our focus away from what we don't have and instead appreciating what we already do. When we apply mindfulness to our thoughts about wealth, we begin to see it as a tool, rather than an end goal. Instead of thinking, I need more, we start to affirm. I am content with what I have. And I am open to receiving more when the time is right. This shift in perspective allows wealth, both material and spiritual, to flow freely into our lives. We become more abundant not because we constantly chase after wealth, but because we let go of the fears and anxieties that come with clinging to it. Personal reflection. The practice of metta meditation. For me personally, this shift in mindset came through the practice of metta meditation, also known as loving kindness meditation. Metta meditation involves sending love and good intentions to oneself and others. It's a practice that cultivates feelings of warmth, compassion, and goodwill, both towards ourselves and those around us. In my own experience, this practice has helped me shift my relationship with wealth. At one point, I too viewed money as a source of stress, something I was constantly chasing after, fearing I would never have enough. But through the practice of metta, I began to see wealth differently. I no longer saw it as something to be hoarded or controlled. Instead, I began to see money as a tool that could bring peace, opportunity, and joy into my life and the lives of others. Money was no longer the source of anxiety. It became a means to create positive change and support the well-being of those around me. When we practice loving kindness, we open ourselves to a more peaceful and abundant life. We no longer feel compelled to accumulate wealth out of fear or insecurity. Instead, we let go of attachment and embrace a mindset of abundance, where we trust that what we need will come to us when the time is right. This is how true wealth manifests, through inner peace, generosity, and an open heart. The story of the monk and the rich merchant. A lesson in true wealth. Let us now reflect on another important Buddhist story that sheds light on this teaching. The story of the monk and the rich merchant. In this story, the monk lived a humble life in a small, modest hut. One day, a wealthy merchant, proud of his material success, approached the monk. The merchant boasted about his vast riches, his grand home, and his luxurious lifestyle. "I have everything I could ever want," he said. "But still, I am not happy. I believe that wealth will bring me peace, but I cannot find it. Can you help me?" The monk, with a peaceful smile, looked at the merchant and asked, "What will you do when your wealth no longer brings you peace?" The merchant was taken aback. He had always believed that his riches were the key to happiness. But the monk's words made him pause. He had never considered the possibility that wealth might not be the answer to his unhappiness. The monk continued, "True wealth does not come from material possessions. It comes from how you use what you have to serve others, to spread kindness, and to create harmony in the world. It is not the number of things you own that brings peace, but how you relate to them." The merchant, upon hearing these words, reflected deeply. He had spent his life accumulating wealth, but in doing so, he had neglected the more important aspects of life: compassion, generosity, and inner peace. The monk's wisdom struck him like a gentle thunderbolt. He realized that no amount of money or material goods would ever bring him true peace unless he learned to let go of his attachment to them and use his wealth to help others. From that day forward, the merchant began to change his life. He started giving away his riches to those in need, supporting charitable causes, and using his wealth to create a positive impact in the world. With each act of generosity, his heart became lighter, and he experienced a sense of peace that he had never known before. The more he gave, the more abundant his life became, not in material wealth, but in love, compassion, and inner peace. The true meaning of wealth. This story beautifully illustrates the Buddhist view of wealth. Wealth is not just about material possessions. It's about how we use what we have to create positive change in the world. True wealth is the ability to live a life of purpose, to be at peace with what we have, and to use our resources to serve others. In Buddhism, wealth is often seen as a means to an end, not the end itself. The end goal is inner peace, compassion, and enlightenment. When we align our lives with these values, wealth naturally flows toward us. Not because we are chasing it, but because we are living in harmony with the universe. Call to action. Reflecting on true wealth. As you reflect on these teachings, I invite you to ask yourself, what is your relationship with wealth? Are you attached to it in a way that causes you stress and anxiety? Or do you see it as a tool for creating peace and abundance in your life and the lives of others? Take a moment today to practice mindfulness and reflect on your relationship with money and material possessions. Notice where you may be holding on to attachments and how those attachments might be creating suffering in your life. Then, let go. Embrace a mindset of abundance, knowing that true wealth comes not from what we own, but from how we live and what we share with others. If this message resonates with you, take a moment to share your thoughts in the comments below. Let's create a community of like-minded individuals who are committed to embracing true wealth, the wealth of the heart and mind. And if you feel inspired, don't forget to subscribe to continue exploring the path to spiritual and material abundance. 3 Visualization and affirmations in Buddhist teachings. As we explore the path to financial abundance, it's important to recognize that the true nature of prosperity is not just about amassing wealth or gaining material success. The Buddhist perspective on abundance is not tied merely to external circumstances but to the way we cultivate our minds, intentions, and actions. This brings us to the powerful tools of visualization and affirmations, which, when used correctly, can help us align our inner state with the energy of abundance, ultimately manifesting prosperity in all forms. The power of intention and mindfulness. In Buddhism, much emphasis is placed on the power of intention and mindfulness. The teachings of the Buddha make it clear that everything begins with the mind. Our thoughts, words, and actions arise from the state of our mind. And if we want to change our reality, we must first change our mind. This insight is particularly relevant when discussing the process of attracting abundance. If we wish to bring prosperity into our lives, we must first align our minds with thoughts that are conducive to abundance. In Buddhist practice, we often speak of right intention, which is part of the Eightfold Path. Right intention is about cultivating thoughts that are aligned with wisdom, compassion, and kindness. It is not enough to simply desire something for selfish reasons or out of greed. Instead, our intentions must come from a place of clarity, wisdom, and mindfulness. When it comes to wealth, this means that we must desire financial abundance in a way that serves both our own well-being and the well-being of others. The Buddha taught that desire itself is not inherently bad, it is the attachment to that desire that causes suffering. So, the key is not to eliminate all desires but to approach them with awareness and understanding. When we align our desires with positive intentions, the energy we send out into the world shifts, and we naturally begin to attract more of what we truly need. The role of affirmations in Buddhist thought. Now, let's dive deeper into the practice of affirmations, which plays a vital role in transforming our mindset and aligning us with abundance. The Buddha himself often used powerful phrases to teach profound truths. These words, when repeated, serve to change the mind of his disciples, helping them break free from ignorance and suffering. In the same way, affirmations act as tools to reprogram our minds. By repeating positive statements about wealth, opportunity, and abundance, we begin to rewire our thought patterns. The key here is not merely repeating these words mindlessly, but doing so with deep intention and sincerity. I invite you to try a simple affirmation that I have found incredibly effective in my own life. I am deserving of all the wealth and opportunities the universe has to offer. This affirmation is not just a positive statement, it is an expression of self-worth and gratitude. Often, we hold deep-rooted beliefs that we are unworthy of financial abundance, that we do not deserve to be prosperous. Such beliefs block the flow of wealth into our lives. When we affirm our worthiness, we open ourselves to receiving the blessings that the universe has to offer. In Buddhist philosophy, we learn that everything in life is interdependent. Our actions, thoughts, and intentions have a direct impact on the world around us. By repeating this affirmation, we are aligning our inner state with the flow of abundance, thereby attracting more prosperity into our lives. Start each day with this affirmation, and notice how it shifts your attitude towards wealth. Do not simply repeat the words mechanically, feel the energy behind them. Believe in their truth, and watch as your reality begins to shift. Visualization. A tool for manifesting prosperity. Just as affirmations are powerful, visualization is another tool that can help us align our subconscious mind with our conscious desires. Visualization is not about daydreaming or wishful thinking. It is about creating a mental image of the life you desire, and by doing so, aligning your energy with that vision. Buddhism teaches that the mind is like a garden. Whatever seeds we plant in it, whether positive or negative, will eventually grow and manifest in our lives. If we plant seeds of fear, scarcity, and doubt, those will be the fruits we reap. But if we plant seeds of abundance, joy, and peace, those will grow and come to fruition. Visualization helps us plant those positive seeds in our minds. Spend a few minutes each day imagining the life you desire. Picture your ideal financial situation, whether that's being debt-free, living in your dream home, or having the freedom to pursue your passions. Feel the emotions associated with that vision. How does it feel to have your bills paid off? What does it feel like to know that you are financially secure and able to contribute to causes you care about? Allow yourself to feel the abundance and peace that come with financial freedom. Visualizing the life you want to live not only helps align your thoughts but also activates your subconscious mind. It guides you towards actions that are in line with your goals, and it helps you recognize the opportunities that are already around you. When we make space for abundance in our minds, we begin to see it manifest in the world. A story from Buddhist tradition. The Monk and the Treasure. Let me share a story from Buddhist tradition that beautifully illustrates the connection between visualization, intention, and the manifestation of wealth. It is the story of a monk who lived in a small temple in a remote village. The monk was known for his deep wisdom, compassion, and peaceful demeanor. Though the monk had no material wealth, he was content with his simple life and devoted himself entirely to meditation and helping those in need. One day, a wealthy merchant visited the temple. The merchant was known for his vast riches, but his life was filled with worry and unrest. Despite all his wealth, he could not find peace. The merchant asked the monk, "I have everything I could want: gold, land, servants, but I am not happy. What should I do to find true peace?" The monk smiled gently and replied, "Peace is not found in riches. True wealth lies within your heart." The merchant, desperate for an answer, asked again, "But how can I achieve this peace? How can I obtain true wealth?" The monk led the merchant to the temple's garden and told him, "Close your eyes and visualize the treasure that you seek. Picture it in your mind, feel the joy it would bring, and hold on to that vision." The merchant, eager for a solution, closed his eyes and began to imagine himself surrounded by treasure. As he visualized the gold, the jewels, and the power that would come with it, the monk gently placed his hand on the merchant's shoulder. "Now, "Let go of this vision," the monk said, "and let your mind rest in peace." The merchant was confused. But as he opened his eyes, he realized that he had become attached to the image of the treasure. And this attachment was causing him more anxiety. The monk continued, "You see, the treasure you seek is not outside of you. The true treasure is the stillness of your mind, the peace within your heart. When you let go of attachment to material wealth, you open yourself to a different kind of abundance, a wealth of peace, joy, and contentment that is far greater than any physical treasure." The merchant, deeply moved, understood the monk's teaching. He returned home and began to practice meditation, letting go of his attachment to wealth and focusing on cultivating peace within. Over time, his life transformed. He became a benefactor to his community, sharing his wealth with others and finding joy in giving. More importantly, he found a deep sense of peace within himself. The connection between visualization and generosity. This story is a reminder that true abundance comes not from accumulating wealth, but from the mindset of generosity and peace. When we practice visualization, we are not simply asking for more wealth, but we are aligning our hearts with the energy of abundance. This energy encourages us to act generously, to use our resources to benefit others, and to recognize that true prosperity lies in the sharing of what we have. Visualization, when paired with mindfulness and generosity, becomes a powerful tool for manifesting not just wealth, but also a life of fulfillment and joy. It reminds us that abundance is not just about material gain, it is about the richness of life that comes from giving, sharing, and cultivating peace in our hearts. Call to action. Begin your journey today. As you reflect on these teachings, I invite you to try these practices for yourself. Begin with an affirmation each morning, affirming that you are deserving of all the wealth and opportunities the universe has to offer. Spend a few moments each day visualizing the life you desire, feeling the abundance of peace and joy in your life. Notice the changes that begin to occur, how your mindset shifts, how your actions become more aligned with your goals, and how opportunities begin to appear when you least expect them. If this teaching resonates with you, I encourage you to share your thoughts and experiences in the comments. Let's create a space where we can all learn, grow, and support each other on this journey of abundance. And, if you haven't already, don't forget to subscribe to continue exploring the wisdom of the Buddha, and how it can guide us toward a life of true prosperity. For gratitude and abundance in Buddhist teachings. In the Buddhist tradition, the practice of gratitude is not merely a simple acknowledgement of the good in our lives. It is a transformative practice, a doorway to spiritual growth and the cultivation of true abundance. The Buddha taught that true contentment is found not in the accumulation of material goods or wealth, but in the cultivation of an open heart that appreciates the present moment and the simple blessings already present in our lives. Gratitude, in this sense, becomes a powerful force that shifts our perspective, realigns our energy, and opens us up to the abundance that is all around us. To understand the profound connection between gratitude and abundance, it is essential to reflect on a timeless Buddhist story, The Hungry Ghosts. This story offers a deep lesson on the insatiable nature of desire, and how it distorts our understanding of true wealth and happiness. The story of the hungry ghosts, a reflection on desire and dissatisfaction. The hungry ghosts, or preta, are a well-known symbol in Buddhist teachings. These beings are depicted as having large, empty bellies and tiny mouths, which are too small to ever be satisfied by the food or drink they consume. No matter how much they eat, they remain perpetually hungry, never able to satisfy their cravings. The story of the hungry ghosts serves as a profound metaphor for human beings trapped in a cycle of desire and attachment. In Buddhist cosmology, These hungry ghosts are beings who are bound by their intense cravings and desires. And because of this, they are never at peace. They are constantly striving to fill the void within themselves. But no matter how much they consume, they can never find fulfillment. This insatiable desire reflects the condition of many human beings in the modern world, especially when it comes to wealth and material possessions. We often live with the belief that more will make us happy than acquiring more money. More possessions, or more status will finally bring us satisfaction. But, just like the hungry ghosts, this endless pursuit only leads to frustration and unhappiness. Without a heart full of gratitude, we will always feel as though we are lacking something, always craving more. The Buddha taught that this insatiable craving, the desire for more, the belief that wealth will bring us peace, keeps us trapped in a cycle of suffering. Desire, when left unchecked, causes us to lose sight of what we already have and keeps us focused on what we don't. We become like the hungry ghosts, never truly satisfied, always searching for the next thing that will fill the void. Shifting from scarcity to abundance through gratitude. In stark contrast to the tale of the hungry ghosts, the practice of gratitude invites us to shift our focus from scarcity to abundance. The Buddha taught that true contentment comes from recognizing and appreciating what we already have. By practicing gratitude, we begin to transform our mindset from one of lack to one of abundance. Gratitude, in Buddhism, is not simply about being thankful for material things. It is about cultivating an attitude of appreciation for life itself, for the breath we take, for the relationships that nurture us, and for the simple moments of peace and clarity that we often overlook. The Buddha often spoke of how the mind can transform the experience of life. If we are constantly focused on what we lack, we will always feel incomplete. But when we shift our attention to what we have, we begin to see that abundance is already present in our lives, in ways both large and small. In the practice of mindful gratitude, we acknowledge the blessings we already have, whether they are material, emotional, or spiritual. By taking time each day to reflect on these blessings, we open ourselves to the possibility of receiving even more, not just in terms of wealth, but in terms of opportunities, relationships, and experiences that enhance our lives. A Buddhist story. The monk and the rich man. To further illustrate the power of gratitude in transforming our perception of wealth, let us reflect on another Buddhist story, the monk and the rich man. In a small village, there lived a monk who was known for his wisdom and peaceful demeanor. He lived in a humble hut, with few possessions. Yet he was always content and full of joy. One day, a rich man from the village came to visit the monk. The rich man had heard of the monk's wisdom and wanted to understand the secret to his happiness. The rich man said, "I have wealth beyond measure. I own land, houses, and precious jewels. But no matter how much I accumulate, I find myself anxious and unhappy. I am constantly striving for more, but I never feel truly at peace. What is your secret, monk?" The monk smiled gently and invited the rich man to sit with him. "I have nothing," the monk said, "yet I am content. I have learned the power of gratitude. I do not focus on what I do not have. Instead, I appreciate the blessings that are before me, in every moment." The rich man was puzzled. "How can you be content with so little? I have everything a man could want, and yet I am not happy." The monk nodded and said, "True wealth is not measured by what you possess, but by how you perceive what you have. The more you focus on what you lack, the more you will feel impoverished. But when you practice gratitude for all that you have, you will find that true wealth lies in the simplicity of life, in the peace of your heart, and in the love you share with others." The rich man reflected on the monk's words, and for the first time, he began to understand that his obsession with acquiring more had kept him from experiencing the true wealth that life offers. He began to practice gratitude each day, focusing on the simple blessings in his life. Over time, he found that his anxiety eased, and he became more at peace with himself. This story beautifully illustrates the Buddhist view on true wealth. Wealth is not merely about material possessions or status. It is about the mindset with which we approach life. The rich man's shift from a mindset of scarcity to one of abundance by practicing gratitude allowed him to experience a form of wealth that money could never buy. Gratitude and abundance. A practice for everyday life. Now that we have explored the Buddhist perspective on gratitude, let us look at practical ways to incorporate this teaching into our daily lives. By practicing gratitude, we shift our focus from what we don't have to what we already have, thereby attracting more abundance into our lives. This practice is not about pretending that everything is perfect, but about recognizing the inherent goodness in our lives, even in the midst of challenges. Here are a few practices you can implement to cultivate gratitude and invite more abundance into your life. 1. The Gratitude Journal. One simple but powerful practice is to write down 3 things you are grateful for each day. This could be anything from a kind gesture from a friend to the beauty of nature, or even something as simple as the warmth of the sun on your face. By reflecting on the positive aspects of your life, you train your mind to focus on abundance rather than lack. 2. Mindful appreciation. Take time each day to fully appreciate the small moments of life. Whether it's enjoying a cup of tea, spending time with loved ones, or simply taking a deep breath, practice being present and grateful for these moments. This practice helps us cultivate a sense of contentment and peace, regardless of external circumstances. 3. Sharing and generosity. One of the most powerful ways to cultivate abundance is through generosity. When we give, we open ourselves to receiving. Whether it's through acts of kindness, donating to those in need, or sharing our time and resources, generosity reinforces the belief that there is always enough to go around. As the Buddha taught, the gift of giving creates abundance. 4. Daily affirmations of gratitude. Incorporate affirmations into your daily routine. Affirming your gratitude for what you have, and expressing your openness to receive more, helps align your energy with abundance. A simple affirmation such as, "I am grateful for the wealth and opportunities I already have, and I am open to receiving more," can shift your mindset from one of scarcity to one of abundance. Call to action. Embrace gratitude in your life. As you reflect on the lessons of gratitude and abundance, I invite you to take a moment to consider what you are truly grateful for in your life. What blessings do you already have? How can you begin to cultivate a mindset of abundance, rather than scarcity? I encourage you to start today. Begin by writing down 3 things you are grateful for, especially related to your financial situation. This simple practice can shift your perspective and help you open yourself to receive even more, not just in terms of money, but in the form of meaningful opportunities, relationships, and experiences. If you found these teachings helpful, share them with others who might benefit from cultivating a mindset of gratitude and abundance. Let's create a community of like-minded individuals who are committed to living with contentment, generosity, and peace. The practical steps for attracting abundance. A Buddhist perspective. In our modern world, the pursuit of wealth is often seen as a straightforward goal: accumulate as much as possible, secure material comfort, and live a life free of financial worries. However, from a Buddhist perspective, true abundance is not merely about how much money we accumulate, but how we use our wealth to bring about peace, joy, and positive change in the world. True abundance arises from a holistic approach, one that integrates mindfulness, compassion, and wisdom. Let us explore practical steps, rooted in Buddhist teachings, that will help us not only attract abundance into our lives but also use it wisely for both our personal growth and the benefit of others. 1. The power of mindful financial management. Buddhism emphasizes the importance of mindfulness in every aspect of life. Mindfulness is the practice of being present, aware, and intentional in our actions. This extends beyond meditation and mindfulness practices in a traditional sense. It also applies to how we manage our finances. In fact, mindful financial management is an essential first step in creating abundance. In the Buddhist teachings, right action is one of the steps on the Eightfold Path. Right action encourages us to act in a way that is ethical, deliberate, and aligned with our values. Similarly, mindful financial management involves setting clear goals and making conscious choices about how we spend, save, and invest our money. To begin, take time to create a budget. This process can be transformative, as it helps you understand your financial flow and gives you control over your resources. Being mindful of your spending habits is an important step in living with intention. Track your expenses carefully. This will help you identify areas where you may be overspending, allowing you to redirect funds towards goals that align with your true values. In Buddhist teachings, contentment is a key to happiness. Instead of constantly seeking more, we can cultivate satisfaction with what we already have. Practicing contentment in our financial life helps us avoid the trap of consumerism and dissatisfaction. We become more attuned to what is truly necessary and beneficial for our well-being, rather than being led by fleeting desires. 2. The principle of generosity. Using wealth to benefit others. One of the core teachings of Buddhism is the practice of dana, or generosity. Generosity is not just about giving away material possessions. It is an attitude of selflessness, an acknowledgement that wealth is a tool to enrich the lives of others. Generosity brings both the giver and receiver closer to spiritual fulfillment. There is a beautiful story from the Jataka tales that illustrates the profound impact of using wealth to help others. The story is about a wise merchant who had amassed a considerable fortune through hard work and wise investments. However, he did not hoard his wealth. Instead, he used it to help those in need. He built schools for children, provided food for the hungry, and offered shelter to those without homes. Rather than seeing his wealth as something to be protected and kept for himself, the merchant viewed it as a means to create good in the world. By using his resources to alleviate the suffering of others, he not only brought happiness to countless people but also created a lasting legacy of compassion and generosity. This story serves as a powerful reminder that wealth should not be an end in itself, but a means to foster kindness, compassion, and collective well-being. When we accumulate wealth, it is our responsibility to use it to uplift others and support the greater good. This not only benefits those around us but also enriches our own lives, bringing a sense of fulfillment and joy that far surpasses material possessions. As we work towards creating financial abundance in our lives, we should always ask ourselves, how can I use this wealth to help others? Whether it is through charitable donations, supporting community projects, or simply offering our time and skills to those in need. Every act of generosity creates a ripple effect that spreads positivity throughout the world. 3. The middle path. Balancing wealth with spiritual growth. In Buddhism, one of the key concepts is the middle path, the path of moderation, avoiding extremes. The Buddha taught that both indulgence in pleasure and extreme asceticism lead to suffering. The path to true happiness lies in balance, where we do not become consumed by material wealth, but also do not neglect the practical needs that help us lead a comfortable life. This principle can be applied to our approach to wealth. It is not about rejecting wealth entirely or obsessing over acquiring it. Instead, it is about cultivating a healthy relationship with money, one that allows us to live with sufficient comfort while also ensuring that we are mindful of how we use our resources. For example, once you have a clear understanding of your financial situation, it is important to create financial goals that align with your values and long-term vision for life. These goals should not only consider material wealth, but also your spiritual growth and the well-being of your community. As you work towards these goals, maintain an attitude of gratitude and detachment. Recognize that wealth is impermanent, and it is not the source of ultimate happiness. True abundance arises from a mind that is at peace, free from attachment and craving. 4. Cultivating patience and persistence. In the pursuit of wealth, it's easy to fall into the trap of impatience, wanting immediate results and quick gains. However, Buddhism teaches that patience is one of the key virtues on the path to enlightenment. The Buddha himself spent many years in meditation and contemplation before reaching enlightenment. It was only through patient, consistent effort that he attained wisdom and understanding. Similarly, when it comes to financial abundance, patience and persistence are key. Wealth does not accumulate overnight. It requires consistent effort, wise decisions, and time. In the Buddhist tradition, this is known as the pramitha virya energy or perseverance. This quality is essential not only for spiritual practice but also for achieving success in any area of life, including financial prosperity. By setting long-term goals and making steady progress towards them, we allow ourselves the space to grow and learn along the way. As we practice patience, we also develop trust in the process, trust in ourselves, and trust that the universe will provide what we need when the time is right. 5. Simplifying and focusing on what truly matters. In our modern world, we are constantly bombarded by distractions, advertisements, societal pressures, and the ever-present desire for more. But Buddhism teaches that happiness does not lie in the accumulation of things. It lies in simplicity, in focusing on what truly matters. By simplifying our lives, whether it is through decluttering our physical space, streamlining our finances, or letting go of unnecessary desires, we create the conditions for true abundance to enter. When we focus on what truly brings us joy and fulfillment, we are less likely to fall into the trap of endless craving and dissatisfaction. In Buddhism, there is a powerful practice called applied mindfulness. This practice involves being fully present in each moment, fully aware of our thoughts, actions, and decisions. By being mindful of how we approach money, work, and relationships, we can make decisions that are in line with our deeper values, rather than simply reacting to external pressures. Take a moment to reflect. What are the essential aspects of your life that bring you true happiness? What could you simplify or release in order to create more space for abundance and peace? When we focus on the things that truly matter, we open ourselves to the richness of life. Call to action. Begin your path toward true abundance. As you reflect on the teachings of the Buddha and the practical steps for attracting abundance, consider how you can integrate these principles into your own life. Start small, create a budget, reflect on your goals, and ask yourself how you can use your wealth to benefit others. By practicing generosity, mindfulness, and balance, you will begin to align your financial life with your deeper values, and attract not just material wealth, but a life of true abundance. I invite you to share your journey in the comments below. How are you working to create abundance in your life? What steps have you taken to use your wealth to help others? Let's create a community of like-minded individuals committed to using our resources for good and cultivating true abundance. And if this message resonates with you, I encourage you to subscribe for more insights on how to live a life of purpose, peace, and prosperity. 6. A holistic approach to prosperity. The Buddhist perspective. When we think of prosperity, many of us instinctively focus on wealth, money, possessions, and material success. These external markers of success are often seen as the ultimate goal. But Buddhism teaches us a much broader view of prosperity, one that extends beyond mere material wealth. True prosperity, according to Buddhist philosophy, encompasses all aspects of life: health, relationships, personal fulfillment, and spiritual well-being. In Buddhism, the concept of prosperity is deeply intertwined with balance and interconnectedness. True prosperity is not about focusing on one aspect of life at the expense of others. Instead, it is about cultivating harmony across all areas of life. To illustrate this idea, think of your life as an ecosystem, where every element, your health, relationships, work, and spiritual practice affects and supports the others. If one part of your life is out of balance, it can hinder your growth in all other areas. For example, poor physical health can make it difficult to stay mentally focused on your financial goals. Similarly, if your relationships are in turmoil, it becomes challenging to maintain a peaceful and positive mindset. Buddhism encourages us to seek prosperity through a holistic approach, where all aspects of our being, mind, body, and spirit are nurtured and aligned. By embracing this approach, we can create a life of true prosperity, not just in terms of wealth, but in all dimensions of our existence. The mind-body connection in Buddhism. In Buddhist teachings, the mind and body are seen as deeply connected. Our mental state can significantly affect our physical health, and vice versa. The Buddha taught that a calm and clear mind is essential for cultivating peace and happiness. But how can we achieve this if our physical health is compromised? A key principle in Buddhism is right livelihood and right effort, which also includes taking care of our bodies. Our bodies are the vessels through which we experience the world, and neglecting our physical health ultimately impedes our spiritual progress. The Buddha advocated for balanced living, including adequate rest, nourishment, and exercise, which allow us to cultivate the strength and clarity needed to focus on our spiritual development. In the same way that we take care of our minds, we must care for our bodies by engaging in practices that promote well-being. Exercise, for instance, is an important aspect of maintaining physical health. Buddhism teaches the value of moderation. Neither indulgence nor extreme deprivation is beneficial. Similarly, eating nourishing, wholesome foods that support our vitality aligns with the Buddhist teaching of mindful consumption. When we are mindful of what we consume, we are better able to nourish our bodies and minds. Buddhist monks often maintain physical practices such as walking meditation, which strengthens both the body and mind, allowing them to stay present and focused. The same can be said for us by engaging in mindful exercise. Whether it's yoga, walking, or even just stretching, we create the space for both physical and mental clarity. This, in turn, enables us to focus better on our financial goals, relationships, and spiritual practices. The interconnection between health and financial success. It is easy to think of financial prosperity as separate from our health, but in reality, they are deeply intertwined. If your physical health is suffering, it becomes difficult to focus on your career, manage your finances, or even pursue your dreams. Similarly, the more stress and illness we experience, the harder it becomes to maintain a positive mindset, which is crucial when striving for financial success. The Buddha taught about the importance of balance in life and the mind. Financial success, while important, should never be pursued at the expense of our well-being. Wealth that comes through stress, burnout, or neglecting our health is ultimately not true prosperity. One important lesson from the Buddhist teachings is the practice of right effort, which involves working diligently without overexerting oneself. In the pursuit of wealth, it's important to maintain balance and avoid the trap of chasing after money at the expense of our physical and mental health. Instead, approach financial success with patience, diligence, and mindfulness. Cultivate your financial goals with a clear and focused mind, but also with a gentle approach that honors your body's needs. To cultivate financial prosperity while maintaining health, consider these practical steps. Set realistic financial goals that allow you time to rest and recharge. Practice self-care by prioritizing your health and well-being. This will help you approach financial matters with clarity and focus. Stay mindful of your emotional well-being, especially in relation to money. Avoid the stress of overworking or obsessing over financial outcomes. Trust the process, and allow abundance to flow naturally. The importance of meaningful relationships in prosperity. Another aspect of prosperity in Buddhism is the cultivation of meaningful relationships. The Buddha emphasized that human connection is a vital part of a happy and fulfilled life. In fact, right speech, right action, and right livelihood all contribute to nurturing positive relationships with others. When we engage in relationships based on love, respect, and mutual support, we create a supportive environment where prosperity can flourish. Whether it's with family, friends, or colleagues. Building relationships grounded in mindfulness and compassion is essential for a prosperous life. Buddhism teaches that wealth is not merely about money, but about the richness of relationships. We can be financially prosperous, yet emotionally and spiritually poor if we neglect the quality of our relationships. Relationships are not only essential for personal fulfillment, but also provide the support we need to maintain our peace of mind and resilience in times of difficulty. In the Jataka tales, we hear many stories of wise beings who used their wealth to help others. In one story, a merchant who accumulated great wealth chose to invest his fortune not in building personal luxury, but in building schools and shelters for the poor. By doing so, he found greater joy and peace than he could have ever found through material wealth alone. In a similar way, we must ask ourselves, how are we using our relationships to create a prosperous life? By being mindful in our interactions, offering kindness, and helping others, we cultivate not only spiritual prosperity but also emotional fulfillment, spiritual well-being and prosperity. One of the most significant aspects of prosperity, according to Buddhism, is spiritual well-being. The Buddha taught that true happiness is found not in external wealth but in inner peace. Prosperity, in this sense, is a state of spiritual abundance and abundance of wisdom, compassion, and clarity. Spiritual well-being involves aligning our actions with our deepest values. This is where right intention and right mindfulness come into play. By developing awareness of our thoughts and intentions, we are able to act in ways that bring inner peace and harmony. When we focus on cultivating a peaceful, compassionate heart, we create a foundation for all other forms of prosperity to grow. In Buddhism, meditation is one of the most powerful tools for achieving spiritual abundance. Regular meditation practice helps us to calm the mind, connect with our inner wisdom, and develop a sense of compassion for ourselves and others. This practice not only benefits our mental well-being, but also enhances our ability to make wise, thoughtful decisions in our financial and personal lives. By incorporating meditation and mindfulness into your daily routine, you create a solid foundation for prosperity in all aspects of your life. Whether it's through meditation, prayer, or simply taking time for reflection, nurturing your spiritual well-being is essential for attracting true prosperity. The ecosystem of prosperity. A balanced life. To cultivate true prosperity, It is essential to recognize that every part of your life is interconnected. Your health, relationships, finances, and spiritual well-being all play vital roles in creating a prosperous life. Just as a garden needs water, sunlight, and good soil to thrive, your life requires balance and attention in all areas. Each day, take time to assess whether you are nurturing all aspects of your life. Are you tending to your health by eating well and exercising? Are you fostering meaningful relationships that bring joy and support? Are you working on your financial goals in a way that respects your health and mental peace? And finally, are you cultivating spiritual practices that nurture your inner peace and wisdom? True prosperity, in the Buddhist sense, is about balance. It's about nourishing your mind, body, and spirit in harmony, so that every part of your life supports the others. When we align our actions with mindfulness and compassion, prosperity flows naturally, not just as wealth, but as health, peace, and happiness. Call to action. Cultivate a balanced life. As you reflect on these teachings, I invite you to ask yourself, how can I create more balance in my life? Where do I need to focus more attention, whether it's in nurturing my physical health, deepening my relationships, setting financial goals, or growing spiritually? Start today by taking small steps. Maybe begin with a short meditation, a walk in nature, or a conversation with a loved one. Acknowledge the abundance you already have in your life, and express gratitude for it. As you nurture your body, mind, and spirit, watch how the prosperity you seek naturally unfolds. If this teaching resonates with you, share your thoughts and experiences in the comments below. Let's create a space of support where we can all learn to live in balance and cultivate true prosperity. Conclusion: embracing true prosperity, a journey within. As we bring this exploration to a close, let's take a moment to reflect on the deeper wisdom we've uncovered today. The concept of wealth and abundance often seems to be solely focused on money. The more we have, the more prosperous we feel. And yes, there may be temporary boosts we experience from quick fixes, like the 5-2-0 code shared earlier. But true prosperity transcends such fleeting methods. Real prosperity doesn't lie in numbers or the accumulation of things. It lies within us, in the way we approach life, in our mindset, our heart, and our actions. True prosperity is the ability to live with peace and contentment, grounded in a heart of gratitude, a mind of clarity, and a life filled with compassion. So, what does this mean for you? It means that true abundance doesn't come from accumulating more material wealth. It comes from cultivating a rich inner life, one that is rooted in mindfulness, generosity, and love. This inner wealth has the power to create outward prosperity, not just for you, but for those around you. And this is where the real shift happens. I invite you to pause and reflect on your own life right now. How can you use the wealth you already possess, whether it's financial, emotional, or spiritual, to create positive change in your life and the lives of others? Maybe you already have all the material wealth you need, but feel unfulfilled. Or perhaps you have yet to achieve your financial goals but know that something deeper, something internal, is missing. I challenge you to think beyond the numbers. Ask yourself, what would true abundance look like for you? It could be as simple as more time with your loved ones, better health, or even the peace of mind that comes from knowing you're on the right path. In the Buddhist tradition, we learn that detachment doesn't mean abandoning our wealth. It means not allowing our wealth to define us. Prosperity becomes true when we use what we have to uplift others, create goodwill, and enrich the world with compassion. This inner wealth comes from embracing gratitude, for everything we already have and the understanding that no material possession can bring lasting happiness unless we first cultivate contentment within ourselves. Reflecting on the wisdom shared today, we can shift our mindset. Instead of thinking, "I don't have enough," we begin to affirm, "I am grateful for what I have, and I am open to receiving more abundance in all forms, be it peace, relationships, opportunities, or material wealth." This simple shift changes everything, and suddenly, the universe responds to your openness and willingness to receive. As we wrap up, I encourage you to engage in the practice of gratitude every day. Start small. Each morning, take a moment to reflect on 3 things you are grateful for. Acknowledge your current wealth, not just in material terms, but in emotional, relational, and spiritual wealth. Let gratitude guide you to see the abundance already present in your life. I'd love to hear your thoughts. How has your perception of abundance shifted after this video? What actions will you take to cultivate true prosperity in your life? Please share your reflections and your journey in the comments below. Let's continue this conversation and learn from each other's experiences as we walk this path together. If you found this video meaningful, consider sharing it with someone who might benefit from these teachings. You never know how a simple shift in perspective can help someone find the abundance they've been searching for. And if you want to continue exploring these topics and learn more about how Buddhist wisdom can help you create a balanced, prosperous life, don't forget to hit the subscribe button. You'll gain access to more valuable insights, stories, and practices designed to guide you on your journey to both material and spiritual prosperity. Thank you so much for joining me today on this journey. May your path ahead be filled with peace, wisdom, and an ever-growing sense of love and abundance. Stay tuned for our next video, where we'll dive deeper into the transformative power of mindfulness in overcoming financial stress and cultivating inner peace. I look forward to exploring that with you soon.